There exists a subtle, almost invisible form of suffering that many carry quietly through their lives, the hidden pain of the obedient child. From the outside, obedience appears virtuous, responsible, and harmonious. Yet within the obedient child, there often simmers a tension between conformity and authenticity, between external compliance and internal longing. This pain is not always recognized because it is wrapped in behavior that earns praise, trust, and approval from parents, teachers, and society. The obedient child follows rules, meets expectations, and sacrifices personal desires for the sake of harmony. But in doing so, they often suppress aspects of their individuality, learning early that the expression of their true self may invite disapproval, conflict, or withdrawal of affection. Psychologically, obedience in childhood is often reinforced through a system of conditional approval. The child quickly learns that being good, being quiet, and performing to expectations secure safety, love, or recognition. This dynamic teaches the child to prioritize external validation over internal authenticity. They measure themselves not by personal satisfaction or intrinsic value, but by the reactions of authority figures. Over time, this can create a deep, persistent sense of inner compromise, a quiet pain that is rarely expressed but constantly experienced. The obedient child becomes skilled at reading the room, anticipating needs, and managing perception, often at the expense of exploring their own wants, preferences, and emotional truths. Carl Jung would suggest that this dynamic creates a rich inner tension, a conflict between the persona, the face presented to the world, and the shadow, the repressed, unacknowledged aspects of the self. The obedient child develops a strong, socially acceptable persona, one that is compliant, polite, and seemingly content. Yet beneath this carefully maintained facade lies a shadow, impulses, desires, frustrations, and even resentment that are deemed unacceptable or dangerous to express. The more the child conforms, the deeper the shadow grows, and the more hidden their inner pain becomes. This is a silent suffering because it is internalized rather than expressed, and because the child has learned that visible disobedience carries cost. The consequences of hidden obedience extend into emotional life. The obedient child may struggle with authentic emotional expression, learning to suppress anger, sadness, or disappointment in order to maintain approval. They may internalize guilt when asserting boundaries, believing that their needs are secondary or inappropriate. Anxiety often accompanies their decisions as they weigh every action against the invisible measure of what is acceptable or expected. Over time, these patterns can crystallize into adult behaviors characterized by over-responsibility, people-pleasing, difficulty asserting boundaries, and chronic self-criticism.
Socially, the obedient child navigates relationships with caution. They are attuned to others' expectations and desires, often anticipating needs before they are voiced. While this sensitivity can foster empathy and care, it also creates an underlying tension. The obedient individual may feel their authentic self is unseen, unappreciated, or irrelevant. They may attract approval but simultaneously experience isolation because the conformity that earns recognition simultaneously suppresses the individuality that could foster true connection. In effect, obedience becomes both protective and confining, offering acceptance at the cost of self-expression. The inner life of the obedient child is often rich and complex. They observe, reflect, and analyze the world around them, learning patterns of behavior, social cues, and rules of interaction with remarkable precision. Their intellect and empathy are sharpened by constant awareness of consequences, yet these very faculties are deployed externally rather than internally. The pain of their obedience is not dramatic or vocal. It is subtle, persistent, and existential. They experience a quiet dissonance between who they are required to be and who they sense themselves to be beneath the surface. This dynamic often interacts with ambition and achievement. The obedient child may grow into an adult who attains success, stability, or recognition in conventional terms, yet continues to struggle with a sense of incompleteness. Their accomplishments are filtered through internalized standards of external approval rather than intrinsic satisfaction. Even when achieving goals, they may wonder if the praise is deserved, if they truly earned it, or if it is simply the result of their compliance and conformity. The reward of obedience, therefore, is never fully satisfying because it is entwined with the sacrifice of authentic self-expression. Jungian psychology suggests that the path toward alleviating the hidden pain of obedience involves bringing the shadow into awareness. This requires recognizing the parts of the self that were suppressed in childhood, desires, emotions, impulses, and preferences that were deemed unacceptable. It involves questioning the internalized standards of approval, evaluating whether they serve genuine growth, and learning to assert oneself without fear of disapproval. This is a gradual, reflective process. The obedient individual must cultivate self-awareness, compassion, and courage, exploring the space between their persona and their authentic self.
The obedient child's journey into adulthood is therefore a delicate negotiation between past conditioning and present potential. They must learn to discern when conformity is appropriate and when authenticity is necessary, when sacrifice serves genuine purpose and when it perpetuates hidden suffering. The psychological work involves embracing vulnerability, practicing self-expression, and gradually integrating the suppressed aspects of self into conscious life. In doing so, the obedient individual transforms hidden pain into self-understanding, empathy, and emotional depth. Their prior skill in observation and adaptation becomes a foundation for conscious agency rather than unconscious compulsion. Ultimately, the psychology of the obedient child reveals a paradox. Compliance is rewarded, yet it comes at the cost of self-knowledge. Harmony is maintained, yet at the expense of emotional authenticity. Recognition is granted, yet internal suffering remains hidden. The journey of the obedient child, when undertaken consciously, is the journey toward reclaiming voice, asserting boundaries, and integrating the shadow. In this reclamation, the silent pain that shaped early life transforms into insight, emotional resilience, and a capacity for relationships and self-expression that are both authentic and deeply human.